I'll get on and play the next presentation. We can continue the chat and the question and answer sessions. But next up, we've got Adrian Flint. Now, Adrian, since getting his degree, Adrian spent his whole working career working in the food industry, initially in the UK, but for the last 21 years in Thailand. So now his career is about to change, and his presentation is about how he's got to this point. So I'm going to say over to you, Adrian, and I'll share your presentation now.
Thank you, Neil, for the quick introduction. And to get my presentation started, I will say hello and welcome, just as we used to hear at the start of the weekly lecture. My presentation is about my journey really since 2019 into the world of therapeutic photography and its opportunities going forwards for me. So, who am I? My name is Adrian Flint. I'm 58. Sorry, actually, there's a typo there. I'm 21, but it's been a tough life. I'm British. I was born in Belgium when Belgium was still a foreign country, and I've lived in the US, the UK, and for the last 21 years in Thailand. I am married to a Thai national. We have 2 children, and for my sins, I support Watford FC. The top photo is of me photographing one of my son's sailing competitions, and until very recently, I've always preferred to be unseen and behind the camera. My degree was in fisheries studies, specialising in fish processing, and until very recently, well actually January of this year, I've spent my working career in the food industry. The second picture of me was taken by a friend, Kun A, on 1st of April 2023, and that's no joke, when we went to help out for the day at Father Ray's children's home near Pattaya. I'm very proud of this picture because firstly, you can see me. Mead actually may have something to say here. Secondly, it's the first time in 21 years in Thailand that I did a little speech all in Thai. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, I use the opportunity to say out loud to the world and to announce that I am changing my career to be a coach and a photographer. How did I get here today? This picture was taken in September 1944 of a 17-pounder anti-tank gun guarding the approaches to Nijmegen Bridge in Holland. It was part of Operation Market Garden. You may remember the book and the film A Bridge Too Far, which describes it. The 17-pounder was the only Allied anti-tank gun that could stop the German heavy tanks. What's its relevance for me? Well, it reminds me very much firstly of my favourite uncle, who's called Uncle Bob. He was a driver for one of these guns in a different division, and he, along with the rest of his division, spent the winter of 1944-45 on the Nijmegen island before going on to liberate Arnhem in April 1945. When I got my offer for my degree course, I was working for Uncle Bob as a greenkeeper on a local golf course, and I asked him for his advice on whether I should accept the place. He pushed back his flat cap, took a puff on his pipe, and said, "I say go." So I did. As a Farang, or Phalang as they say in Thailand, a foreigner in Thailand, I often related to this picture, and actually I printed it out and put it up behind my desk. The reasons: you are always standing out, and everything you do is under observation by the Thais. And yet I also had the power to fight back if necessary. This photo also shows the power of photography, how people relate to a photo, and if given a safe space and time, they may share with you its meaning. For me, this is classic Bart, studium and punctum. And thank you, Uncle Bob. I describe my journey into therapeutic photography as a series of light bulb moments. In 2017, I was first introduced to NLP through a senior management workshop. And in 2019, I became a certified NLP practitioner. I also started to think about what I could do with myself upon retirement. After all, I would still have a wife and 2 university-aged children to support, and especially if we moved back to the UK. I've always enjoyed photography, and I thought I would like to learn more about it. So in 2021, I started the RPS OCA Photography as Language course. It was in our last weekly Zoom call of the course that one of my fellow delegates, Simon Roth, mentioned a few words, literally not much more than phototherapy and therapeutic photography. And it was as if a light bulb had gone on in my mind blown, as my NLP coach Luke would say. Thank you, Simon. As the picture suggests, my mind was buzzing, rewiring, and firing. And my second light bulb moment came that very night. After the Zoom call finished at 23:45, I spent until 0300 the next day researching the phrase phototherapy and therapeutic photography. During my research, I came across the recording of Catherine Chapman's call about her work with Rankin. Wow, it really was mind blown. And when I shut down my computer at 3 in the morning, my mind was still buzzing when I went to bed. The reason? I had found my purpose. I found out about Neil's 10-week Introduction to Therapeutic Photography course and enrolled in the course, which opened up this whole new world to me. Thank you, Catherine and Rankin. The third light bulb was in 2022. This was when I enrolled and was accepted onto the inaugural running of the PG Cert Therapeutic Photography. And this is the course that we're all sharing our experiences and future plans with you now. A bit of a theme in the last Zoom call of the course, Neil and one of my fellow delegates, JP, had the briefest discussion about using photography in business coaching. Well, this was another mind-blown moment as everything finally fell into place. How I could combine all my learnings on NLP, the coaching, therapeutic photography into something useful, my purpose. Thank you, Neil and JP. I also attended some mindful photography workshops run by Jen Grange and Paul Sanders, which gave me my first insight into this subdivision of therapeutic photography. Thank you, Jen, and especially to Paul. So to the present, April 2023. I have completed Dorotta's excellent photography and coaching course. I'm currently studying in Ruth Davies' excellent Look Again mindfulness photography course. And through Coachology here in Thailand, I'm currently progressing on achieving the ICF's ACC level certified coach. That's level 2 coach for those not familiar with ICF. I'm also enrolled on their inaugural course being run called the Abundant Business Coach. This is teaching us how to get paying clients. So where to next? I've made my decision to become a coach and use photography in my coaching. By the end of May, all training will be complete and it's time to move off the start line. Unlike Sir Michael Caine in A Bridge Too Far, it's driver advance. So this year, I will set up my own business, ideally with 3 strong legs to the business and primarily focused around coaching, which can also use photography as one of the techniques or tools offered to potential clients. And I would also like to offer mindful or wellness photography courses. And one thing Thailand does very well is nice resorts and hotels as locations for such courses. There is also the online course option, something I benefited from greatly during COVID and something I wish to continue. So I need to set up my company, starting with a name, then set up a website, a LinkedIn and other social media routes to market. Focusing on the Asia Pacific region, it's not without its difficulties though. For example, language, work permit and visa. issues, amongst others. As I already said, I would like to start with coaching sessions, half-day workshops, in person and online, and my target to launch is the 15th of May 2023. I have really enjoyed my journey so far. The learnings, the lessons in the middle of the night and the early wake-up calls. And in preparing this presentation, it has taken me back to my university radio days when I would spend hours recording onto reel-to-reel tapes and then splicing the recordings together to make jingles for my show, not half pot pickers. So it's the end of the beginning for me. Thank you for your valuable time and for listening. I hope you found it interesting, and I'd be quite happy to answer any questions. Over to you, Neil. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. God, that's seamless, wasn't it? As if we planned it. Excellent, thank you. We're going to move straight on to Jean-Philippe's presentation because I think there's quite a big connection here in terms of looking at coaching. So Jean-Philippe Gauvrit is an executive coach and mentor, a lifelong photographer and poet. Jean-Philippe is based in France and working across the globe. He coaches executives, managers, and young professionals in complex and international environments. He also accompanies people who wish to pause and start a self-reflection work about their professional journey and identity.
Hello, I'm Jean-Philippe Gauvrit. I am an executive coach, a lifelong photographer, and a poet. I live in France. I coach people at the workplace, executives, managers, young professionals, mostly people working in complex and international environments. What makes me happy? Seeing my clients take new roads with confidence. Photography is a vehicle to learn about myself and the world. I use it in coaching. I never impose it. It's only an option, a possible tool. Pose, Frame, and Focus is a set of coaching programs using photography. The name alludes to the photo process and, in a way, to the coaching process. The idea of analog came from photographic walks I've been doing for a while with different people and from my own reflections about what photography taught me. It's an outdoor practice designed for people who need a pause or need to slow down. I bring them outside, take pictures, and appreciate the beauty and the poetry of everyday life and of the unexpected that can surge at any time, at any crossroads. Then in second step, I propose a person-centered conversation where they can reflect on the experience they just lived and draw a parallel with their professional life. Why? Because I believe professional life is a wandering, and I would like to help my clients transform it into a jaunt. The first important positive outcome is to enjoy a break and create positive emotions. It's a moment of well-being and of flow in a crazy life. The term analog refers to the analog photography. The underpinning idea is to rewind and develop the film of the photo session to discover new representations of who we are and how we behave. I believe there are a lot of analogies between the photo process and the way we function in life, as it reflects the way we introject our experiences and how we engage with the world. The objective is to help people discover practices and behaviors they can internalize and enact back to the workplace. This is a self-awareness exercise to reflect on intention, presence, how we observe and interact with our environment and with other people, the decision-making process, and all of this being relevant for managers and executives. The conversation part is as important as the photo taking part. It is experiential, experimental, and empowering. Interestingly, I see a lot of curiosity and interest for this practice coming from people from different profiles and different interests. For some people, the professional life can look like an odyssey with passages, crossroads, and they may feel alone to cross all of those hurdles. They often struggle to even understand what brought them here and where to go. So, which is why I am a coach and a mentor. I help them reflect on this situation where very often the question of identity and meaning arises. And I help them decide what a good next step would be and to be ready for it. Narratives and personal stories are extremely important to reflect on identity and on meaning, which are at the same time drivers and outcomes. To reflect on a life course or on a professional journey, we need travelogues, and photo albums can be fantastic ones. Travelogue is a coaching program where I invite my clients to rebuild their professional photo album, past, present, even future, with a more positive look. And from there, to reflect on what is at stake for them here and now and on who they are. I like to give a positive orientation to that work, inspired from positive psychology, like here you can see on the screen, or from narrative practices. It's important for me to propose a safe transitional space for repose and help my clients be appreciative of what they have achieved so far to gain confidence for the future. It's like working with contact sheets, spotting unique outcomes, strengths, alliances through the magnifying glass of the person-centered conversation. And here, the coach is an editor and plays a meiotic role. The albums can be complemented by any pictures, portraits, self-portraits, portraits in the future, made during the session by the coachee, and why not by the coach. It's a flow, it's an active and lively system, not a static exploration. There is an unspeakable poetry in photo albums that touches the essence of life, a deep sense of time flowing, of impermanence. It was. Once upon a time someone lived it, saw it, wanted to keep a memory of a smell, a sound, a smile, a thrill, a fear, through sight. They are full of silence, of unsaid, omissions, missed opportunities, full of unknown dimensions, unpalpable colors, hesitations, courage and cowardliness. What makes life? Most often laying and lying between photos. Sometimes I wonder if missing pictures are not the most important memories we want to keep, inner treasures or wounds, in a mistaken act inviting us to a strange blindfold test. The beauty of coaching stands in letting the invisible emerge from the in-between. The benefits of travelogue are the outcomes of the coaching program. And one have to be very clear that photography is only a tool to support the coaching process. For executives and managers, using and playing with photographs is an unusual way to consider and reflect on their career away from their usual rational thinking and socially acceptable representation of what a career and what success or failure mean. On a broader basis, the using photography helps unlock the movement for people who are really stuck. Are we only pictures in our life albums? Evanescent portraits for ourselves, by or for others, now or for the future? Are we the cameras of our lives? The magic of the dark room, when the image surfaces in the developing bath, like our unconscious unveils in dreams and poems, is fading away, replaced by pixels. And the sense of intimacy and of belonging present in photo albums disappears with social networks. That remains the magic of photography and this amazing ability to travel in time, to spark or revive life in a sight, sometimes in a blink.
Fantastic stuff. Just before we come back to the main group, just a reminder that we'll be sharing a link to join the Therapeutic Photography Community of Practice after the seminar or webinar. So please feel free to come and join us and yeah, join the conversation. Okay, so sorry, 1 second. I've got to share screen. So we're back in the room. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for two very interesting presentations. And there's a few questions popping up on the question and answer. If I just go to the top, Nicola asked a while ago about registering to participate in research that's ongoing or is proposed. We're always keen to hear about anybody who's interested in doing research. I mean, typically we have to apply for funding and put in proposals, but you know, if anyone's got any projects that they want to work on, I would say that there's always an interested group of people. Certainly I'm interested. I know Maria works for a university as well, who's on the panel, and you'll hear from Maria last. There's a lot of people interested, so I would say if you are keen to do something like that, again, it's maybe a space to share on the community of practice site. We could set up a chat about doing research, but always quite keen to look at possibilities. So let's take some queries. Adrian, I saw you were taking some there. Kelly's asking how you're finding drawing all your different learning experiences together and making it into your own way of delivering. And do you have any tips? Because Kelly's looking for some tips. That's to Adrian.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Basically, it's just a question of, firstly, sitting down, thinking about how I'm going to apply it. I had lots of ideas buzzing around, and through doing the postgraduate therapeutic photography course, it then led me down various roads, for example, into the wellness and the mindfulness photography route, which I really liked. Other routes worried me
because I thought I might have to do more portrait photography style photographs. And that's an area I'm less familiar with. So I'm kind of focusing on areas that I know at the moment, if that helps, if that answers the question.
Thank you. Excellent. JP, I did see there was a question. Oh yeah, there was a question from Nancy that I thought was probably directed to yourself, JP. Why did you choose to be a therapeutic photography coach as opposed to a therapist incorporating therapeutic photography? I'm assuming that that's aimed at yourself, JP.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Nancy. Well, very simply because I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach. I'm a coach, meaning what I'm trying to do is very simply, I would say, to help people do their job well, get some satisfaction from this, and find their place in what they are doing in life, in their professional life. And as I said, I've been a long life photographer, and before being a coach, actually, I had a corporate life, and I've been able to see what photography and poetry taught me during my corporate life, particularly in difficult times. So that's why I'm trying to incorporate what I learned first for myself, I would say, using photography and poetry for my own benefits, I would say, during my professional life. And I'm trying to use it and to transmit it in a way to other people.
Excellent, thank you. So Ruth adding a comment. Thanks, Ruth. Lovely to see you here tonight, and Mark as well. Yes, we'll try and capture the chats. I believe I can do that in the background when Zoom finishes its business and offers me all these different things I can save and download. So yes, I'll try and capture those as well. Monica raises the dreaded question about AI. As a lecturer, it's something I dread at the moment, and I can see its impact creeping into other courses. Fortunately, not on the therapeutic photography one. This is good. I mean, personally, I think it's way too early to know how things are going to pan out in terms of how it's going to impact on photography and therapeutic photography. I think with therapeutic photography, though, it is so reliant on the relationships. You know, it's about forming relationships and understanding the phenomenological nature of what it means to be human, and appreciate that other people have different experiences that might not be the same as your own experience. And I don't think AI can take the human relationship element out of what we do and generate that. I mean, that would be my hope. I think we'll always need human connection. We're social beings where we crave human contact. And I think that therapeutic photography and the dynamics that it encapsulates just allows for that kind of sense of safety when you're connecting with somebody. So that would be my personal hope in terms of AI. I don't know if anybody else has got any thoughts about AI.
Neil, we had a conversation at the recent conference in Belfast about AI generated images and how one of the components of therapeutic photography is offering a sense of control to people, especially people who have lost a sense of control. And AI can go either way. It can be very therapeutic, but it's, what did we say, Neil? What was the language we used? It's risky. It can go either way because you don't have control. So it can make you feel another loss, that sense of loss of control. And by definition, therapeutic photography, as you've heard throughout, it cannot be therapeutic by accident. And so with AI, there is that dimension that it could go in a very different way that could cause more harm. And so that's just something to keep in mind when engaging that in the therapeutic space.
Totally, yeah. And then you hit upon a really important point. It's about the control aspect. It's, you know, that's part of the intervention, is that it gives that person control, and you don't want to take away that control through other means. Yeah, very good. I guess that's a question Wendy's asking to anybody who wants to answer about, has this course given you a better position in your journey in career and business? Have external bodies acknowledged your certification in therapeutic photography? I mean, I suppose I can answer the second part, is that it's an academic qualification. Therapeutic photography is not a profession, or so not yet. I saw Mark Wheeler on the chat as well. Certainly longer term plans would be to look at some sort of accreditation for the course as it develops, because the hope is that the postgraduate certificate becomes a postgraduate diploma and then an MSc, and that would focus more on therapy and counselling in the second year, in which case we'd be looking for accreditation. So things are developing, but in terms of the general question Wendy asks, and I'll open that up to anybody who wants to answer, has it given you a better position or sense of position within your career or business journey?
Yes, if I may answer that part. I mean, it's given me an absolute. I was just typing a response here, which is saying it's absolutely given me a solid base foundation of knowledge and ability to go forward and try to look on coaching and a career in this as a business as well. So it's been a really, really good, solid base.
So anyone want to say?
Sorry, just to further add, if I may, when I've spoken to people out here in Thailand about this, nobody's aware of it at all. Mm-hmm. And they are really interested with what's it about, and wanting to know more information.
Yeah, thank you. Does anybody else want to say the opposite and say, no, it's a complete waste of money, I want a refund? Good.
I would say for myself, it's, I've been doing this for several years before I took the course, and it gave me a language for the theoretical underpinnings, which is what I was missing. So I knew it worked. I kept seeing it be really effective, and it was almost felt like magic. I've never seen it not work and be really powerful. But I didn't have the language for why is this so effective, and having the framework. It's being used in so many different contexts. To know there is a framework for how to do this safely was really helpful for me in finding ways to go forward.
Excellent. A nice comment from Nicole there about occupational therapy. I completely agree, Nicole. It was, the start of my journey was looking at this in terms of social work, but very quickly realized that it was so applicable beyond social work and occupational therapy. I've got colleagues at Robert Gordon University who have used it in occupational therapy as well, both in teaching and in research. But yeah, I think any profession where you're coming face to face with people and you just need to enhance that communication, it can be enormously beneficial. Yeah, JP?
Yeah, just to add to what you say, Neil, and to concur to with Adrian, photography is not widely used in the field of coaching, or at least corporate coaching, as a supporting tool. Of course, we find people who are doing a lot to use it or to promote it. Maybe it's different in life coaching, but really in business coaching, it's something new. And very honestly, we face sometimes resistances or questions by our clients, right? What are you going to do with photography and so on? And it's not obvious. We are far behind you guys in social work or in therapy or in other fields. And back to the question, this is really what this course helped me with, is very simply first to learn the fundamentals, as it was said before, the language, but also to build some legitimacy and the right foundations, I would say, I can share with prospects and clients and say, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is this is how it's going to work. Reassure them, which I was not able to do before. So it's important for a coaching community, which hopefully is growing, to have this kind of courses to help us gain legitimacy and a strong language we can share with our clients.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. An interesting question from Katarzyna in the chat there about encouraging children who suffer from skin disease to show themselves through photography and how to help them cope with our look and accept it. I mean, I'll just throw in a quick answer there before we move on to the next presentations. A lot of the work around self-portraiture says that one of the things we're doing is working towards self-acceptance, and I think it potentially could be a slower process. What we do on the course is look at alternative ways of doing self-portraiture. So you're not actually confronting the self in an image. You're giving control to the person and saying, well, can you identify a positive characteristic or quality of you? And then you'll capture that in a photograph. So it's about exploring more than the physical being, more than the physical identity, and what's important to you as a person, and perhaps then building up to looking at yourself in an image. But if it was me, I'd be starting very cautiously, very carefully, emphasizing that aspect of control in the process and really encouraging that person to take control and capture what they want to photograph, not be asked to confront themselves in an image. That would be my thought. Of course, please feel free to contribute in the question and answers if anybody else wants to answer that question.